Okay, let's just jump right into today's explainer. We're going to talk about a really powerful idea, a new way to look at our modern world. It's called the digital Baroque.
That's the core idea right there. And yeah, I know, it's a pretty bold statement. But stick with me on this, because once you see it, I'm telling you, you are going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere.
So, what on earth does that actually mean? Well, to really get a handle on our digital world, we first have to take a quick step back in time. Okay, so the original historical Baroque period, it was all about more. Think of those super ornate cathedrals with details just crammed into every single nook and cranny, dramatic sculptures, this feeling of, well, overwhelming visual noise. The point wasn't to be subtle. The point was to completely dazzle you, to overwhelm your senses. A fair question for sure. How does some 17th century art style have anything to do with our lives on screens and in our offices? Well, as it turns out, a lot more than you might think. And this really gets to the heart of it. Our digital world has become obsessed with that same surface level appeal. We are just surrounded by shine, filters, slick animations, cool designs, but there's almost no room left to just pause, to reflect. We've got tons and tons of form, but a pretty worrying lack of substance underneath it all. And you can see this playing out in our everyday lives. Seriously, just think about it. Your social media feed, right? A totally saturated waterfall of perfect images. Or what about those corporate PowerPoints that are full of dazzling effects, but no actual decision gets made? We've all been trapped in those meetings that just go in circles, full of buzzwords, but zero action. And we've all seen those shiny new products that look amazing, but when you get right down to it, they don't actually solve a real problem. This is the digital Baroque in action. Which brings us to what we could call our cathedrals of modern excess. Because if our world really is a new Baroque, well, then it's got to have its own grand structures, its own places of worship, right? This is where we go to be dazzled now. That endless scroll is basically our new cathedral nave, and it's filled with images and hot takes, all designed to overwhelm us with stimuli, just like the gold leaf and frescoes of an old church. And what's at the center of these new cathedrals? The altar that we all gather around? So often, it's just soulless marketing. It's pure image, totally disconnected from any real human feeling. It's designed to get our attention, sure, and our money, but not really to connect with us in a meaningful way. And this whole mindset, it just seeps right into our workplaces. Our modern temples are the companies that pour all their energy into looking a certain way. The fun startup, the innovative powerhouse, but they often forget about the actual substance. Building a healthy, productive culture. The appearance of being great becomes way more important than actually being great. Now, this might just sound like a simple critique of modern aesthetics, but the consequences here, they run so much deeper. There's a real tangible cost to live in a world that's just obsessed with ornament. I mean, why should we care if things are a little over the top? Why does all this excess actually matter? Because when we're surrounded by all this noise, we start to lose things, really, really essential things. Here's the most crucial point. When we put decoration first, we lose clarity. It starts with losing the purpose. The real why behind a project gets buried under just layers and layers of presentation. And that leads to losing the connection, right? The human element just vanishes behind a shiny but ultimately empty brand. And finally, we lose authenticity. A team's goal shifts from doing good work to just looking like they're doing good work. And that kills honesty. It kills real innovation. But look, it's not all doom and gloom. Not at all. Recognizing the problem is the first and most important step. So now we can talk about the antidote. And it isn't about rejecting beauty. It's about finding a much better way forward. And this is such a critical distinction to make. The solution is not to live in some gray, boring, minimalist box. It's about rediscovering the incredible power of simplicity, of silence, of pause. It's about appreciating things that are so well designed, so well thought out, that they don't need any extra fluff. This right here is the core mindset shift. So much of the digital Baroque comes from a place of fear. Fear of not being noticed, fear of not looking impressive enough, So what do? We just add more. More effects, more features, more words. The antidote is to do the exact opposite. Stop adding things out of fear and start subtracting for clarity. Confidently strip away everything that isn't absolutely essential until only the powerful, simple core is left.
There's this quote that just nails it for me. It's such a powerful reminder, isn't it? It is so easy to chase what gets a click, what grabs eyeballs. But that is not the same thing as genuine inspiration. It's not the same as creating something that truly touches another person and makes a real human connection.
So as we wrap this explainer up, the focus kind of shifts from the world around us to the world that we create ourselves. And that's the last question I want to leave you with. In your work, in your communication, in your own projects, are you just playing that game of excess? Are you adding more for the sake of it? Or are you building something that's meant to last? Something that's meant to be understood, to feel real? Something that chooses clarity over clutter and substance over shine? The choice really is yours.